It all starts now.
Hey gang, this is Nick Z from the 49 Teens. Welcome to Rock Talk, episode 6. My special guest today is WDVE DJ Frank Cindrich. You can catch Frank every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Hey Frank, welcome. Thanks for joining me. How you doing today?
Great, Nick, and thanks for having me for this. This is cool.
I appreciate you joining me on Rock Talk. So one of the things I always like when I started following you on Twitter, just it seems like we're kind of in the same age range. We're kind of same growing up, and you're a Western Pennsylvania guy. You kind of like in the mid '80s, or were you a little?
Yeah, I graduated in '85. So
in '85,
yeah, pretty much mid '85.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm '81. So we were talking about various bands like Van Halen. You saw them in '91.
Yeah.
I remember them in the '78. I was too young. They played Stanley Theater. Do you remember that place as a kid?
No.
It's gone now. But the Sex Pistols played there, and so but I knew guys who went, and I was like, oh man, I was just a little, I just couldn't get up there.
I didn't get into Van Halen until a little later. It's one of those deals, like when you're in high school, like certain people influence you one way or the other.
Yeah.
And there was this guy that I wasn't like greatly fond of. He's like, oh, Van Halen. I'm like, I don't want to listen to Van Halen.
Yeah.
It's one of those stupid times, you're like, that guy's listening to it. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I listened to him, but I didn't buy buy a lot of their albums and things like that.
Right.
Till later, I'm like, why didn't I have this earlier?
Yeah, you kind of discover them later.
Yeah.
Now, growing up, when as far as like the music, now obviously you're involved in radio, so there must have been something. Most people, either musicians or radio people, that the influence of music hits them pretty hard to want to get into that job profession. Growing up, what type of music was around your house, and what are the earliest things you remember about?
Well, around my house, I mean, I remember listening in the car to like WIXZ. My dad had on country music and things like that.
Yeah. And
then once I got to school and, my friends were into the Beatles, and I learned from what my friends' older brothers and sisters were into, because that's what they listened to.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into like the mid '70s when their sisters loved Robert Plant and Peter Frampton. He was like a god.
Oh yeah.
Foreigner and Journey and all those songs like all those groups like that. That's what I picked up those influences. And one of my friends had an older brother in a band called they played at the Decade. His name was Jim Bird. He was a bass player, but they were kind of a regular band down at the Decade, and he got me into things like Yes and ELP and Chris Squire and that whole different scene, the prog scene, things like that.
So yeah, a lot of your buddies or older brothers, friends, or your older brothers, you get turned on to music that typically you wouldn't hear around your.
Eddie and the Otters, that's what they were called.
What were they called?
Eddie and the Otters.
Eddie and the Otters. I gotta go back. So
and they're kind of like they wore togas, it's like a college band scene kind of.
Right. So it's like late '80s or somewhere around there.
This was late '70s.
Oh, late '70s. Right. Yeah. What am I talking about? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. I'll have to check up on them. See, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So that's how I got turned on to, really starting to listen to music. And my friends and I, like the Beatles, were our number one band.
Right. Yeah.
And Kiss.
And Kiss, of course. Yeah. Did you get to see Kiss at all when you were growing up?
I didn't see him until '92, the Revenge tour.
Right.
First time I was about old enough to go. My mom didn't allow me to go to shows until I was in high school.
Right, yeah.
So they came on the Dynasty tour, and I wanted to go real bad. My cousin got to go, but I didn't. Like, she was not yet.
You'll wait pretty soon. Yeah. Did you growing up? Did you pick up any? Was there any instrumentation? Did you ever try? Do you play an instrument, or do you?
Oh yeah, I mean, being my friends and I were into Kiss.
Yeah.
I saw Peter Criss and I saw the drums, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Do you still keep up on your drumming? It's hard.
Not as much. I live in an apartment now, so I can't play without someone complaining about it.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, that's what got me into it. I took drum lessons in a place in East McKeesport for a while, and I overheard my mom one time saying, "Yeah, we thought it was going to be like a little fad he'd do for a couple weeks, and then he'd go into something else." And I took him for years.
Right.
Played in high school, but with my friends and senior day and stuff like that.
Oh, so you were in the high school band?
Well, in a band. Well, I was in the high school
band.
Yeah. I was in the marching band, and then my friends and I just had a little. We just practiced so we could play senior day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we didn't play any parties or anything like that. We if we had a little bit of something about promotion and how to do that, then we'd have been like on it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not easy, is it? Getting started, finding the guys to do it first of all.
Yeah.
And then once you're there, you're like, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend's mom was so good at. We go over their house and she's like, "How you guys doing up here?" She was from like South Carolina, and she always like stick her head in. "You sounding real good up here.
Yeah.
Keep working on it." Like she was so great. She didn't mind the racket we were making at all.
Now, one of the other things I always remember as far as like in the 80s is the mall culture. And it seems like the mall culture, it's like, well, the kids now, obviously, I don't know. I heard Century 3 Mall is going to close, if it hasn't already.
Pretty much dead, yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember growing up in the mall? How did that affect you growing up? Because there's a big influence on me. Like, what type of stuff were you doing in the mall?
I mean, the standard thing, one of us, depends on who was driving. If I was driving toward McKeesport, I'd pick up the guys and go to Century 3.
Oh, yeah.
If they were driving and coming from McKeesport, like we'd go out to Monroeville or out to Westmoreland or Greengate. And one time we were at the same mall like 3 times in a row, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, this is cool hanging out at the mall, but let's mix them up a little bit."
Yeah, try and find. Yeah, it's okay.
You go to the Record Mart, go to Spencer's, check out the posters.
Yeah.
Walk around a little bit, go to the food court, scope out the girls and
check out the gals. Yeah.
Whatever we can talk about. We had so much. It was just laughs. That's the biggest thing I remember.
Yeah.
Just having a good time with my friends. And
do you remember there used to be like these? It was like these circus. These like one I remember was a frozen like Bigfoot. Did you ever have that one come to your mall?
I don't remember that.
Okay, it was in a block. It was like a gorilla suit they threw into a block of ice, and I just wondered if you guys if it made it to your mall. But everybody would pay $quarter to look down and see this frozen. Yeah.
No, I don't remember that. I remember the mall shows. Like one of my friends, like the girls, they went to see John Travolta at the mall.
Oh wow, that's
stuff
big,
like that. And then a couple of my friends, every Pennsylvania, someone knows somebody that was involved in one of the Living Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead.
Right.
They use the malls for that.
Yeah, it's always fun at the different event, like the what do you call it? The waters. What was Dancing Waters? Remember?
Yeah, dancing.
Yeah, I think or various. Yeah, like you said, John Travolta. That's huge. That's a big.
Mall shows like, and then in the '80s. I mean, I don't remember if she came here, but Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, stuff like that.
Oh, doing their mall tours. Yeah,
things like that. They don't. That doesn't happen anymore.
Right. Did you go to Ohio do any stuff like get into shenanigans in Ohio? Or?
No, we never. I didn't cross the border to see a band until I was. I mean, and when I did, I went to England to see a band that I knew wasn't here. That was in 2006.
Wow. Okay, we'll hit on that in a minute. Yeah, that's.
We were pretty much, Urena, Syria Moss, Stanley.
Yeah. What? Who's as far as the Stanley Theater bands, the small, I guess the 5,000 seaters. What band stood out for you growing up, or now that you're a grown man, saying, "Man, I saw that band in whatever year." What bands stick out for you?
Okay, I didn't. The thing I remember about the Stanley, I don't know if I actually saw a band there, but I remember going to see movies like Song Remains the Same and and Paul McCartney Rock Show. I saw the Beatlemania there.
Oh right.
I mean, my first actual concert was John Denver, and that was with my parents.
Wow.
And then my first first with my friends was Journey in '81, the Escape Tour.
Oh sure, that was a huge tour.
Yeah, so that was my first opening act was a band called Point Blank.
Right.
I can remember that much. We sat behind them, and that was my first. I saw the '82 Who tour, like the first farewell tour.
I was there. I was with you on that one. I was there. Yeah, great show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone knew somebody that got us, like, that took us up to the gate, and then the guys pointed at us over the lady's like, "Where are your tickets?" And we're like, "Where's that guy?" And he's like, "These two," like, so
Yeah.
she had, and it was like 15 or 14, so I still look like I was 10.
Right.
So so she put us both through the turnstile, and then 4 of us were in, and then we're like, okay, now what do we do? Try not to look like we don't have tickets, I guess.
Yeah.
We ended up in the row behind them. And yeah, that was a pretty cool. That's one that stands out for sure.
That was probably their pinnacle of their career, I would think. Yeah, 81. That was a great time to see those guys.
Yeah, that was. I could still see images from that night, even outside with my friends, and walking up. Okay, you guys are coming next. Okay, we're going to take you guys up. We paid the money. I went and paid like $15 or $20 to the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ticket prices were, but
right. Yeah.
Got us in the door. We're like, this is cool.
Wow. So you saw the Who, Journey, and any like the smaller. I'm thinking Decade, but what was it, Electric Banana? Would you ever go there? Do you remember, or was that kind of on the end of it?
Sometimes later. I mean, I saw the bands like the Cynics. I saw.
Oh yeah,
there.
sure, yeah.
Used to go to the Decade on Thursday nights. It's like college era, and there's a band called Blackfish that played there, and it's quarter beer night, so that was pretty awesome.
Right. Yeah.
I can't think. There isn't really anybody. I mean, besides local bands, Clark's, Brownie Mary.
Sure.
Used to go see, like my friends and I went to see Raquel. Like we were into that scene, and Triple X, bands like that at some place. And I can't think of anybody that I saw in a small venue except for like '96. I saw David Gray at Graffiti.
Oh wow! Right.
And the next album he put out, I think, was White Ladder. After that, and it was like he went to arenas after that.
Oh no kid! Wow, yeah.
So that was one of those cool. Like, I saw him before. Saw Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jeff Beck at the Palumbo Center in like '91 or '92.
Wow, that was
an awesome show. My first stadium show was Joshua Tree.
Oh, right. Jeez, what was that, 87, 86?
87, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
October 13th, 1987.
Oh, wow, you remember? That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been pretty impressive for as a young guy. Seeing that, I think I saw them on that tour. Yeah, it's huge. It was the Three Rivers. The guy had to have been packed.
Yeah, it was. And I still remember the experience of, we used to sleep out for tickets.
Right, yeah.
Wait all night. And, they went to the show that night. And U2 is one of the bands that you could be in a huge stadium and they'll make it feel smaller.
Yeah.
There's a way they do, like either with the lights or just, the way Bono gets around. They do that. You forget that you're in this huge space and you're focused on them, and it just makes, some bands. I went to see the Stones in the Steel Wheels tour, and I remember thinking, this would be a really cool band to see like in the arena or in a club. Like I wasn't like pulled in.
That's a good observation about U2. That's probably why they achieved such a monumental status that not many bands, a handful do, I suppose, because they played the Decade in '79.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
every time they come around, there's like more people that said they were there.
Yeah. It's funny. My sister used to tell me there was a U2 at the Decade, and there was some other band at the Banana or somewhere, she said, I went to that show instead of seeing U2 at the, it's the roll of the dice, So,
yeah.
But when I was chatting with Joe Grishecki, we were talking about the Pittsburgh scene in the 80s. It seemed that Joe may have cracked the wall, I guess, for bands, Pittsburgh, to be discovered. Maybe the Granati brothers as well. But would you agree that they were kind of the next wave?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't old enough when that happened, and Joe Grishecki, B. Taylor, Norm Nardini at the height of his powers, and G-Force, and there's bands like Modern Man, and the things that I hear from Jimmy and Steve in the morning on DVE.
Right.
They talk about the local bands all the time. And I'm like, old enough to get in, and I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't, but I got on board like late '80s.
Yeah.
When I was able to go see, the Clarks and Brownie Mary, and bands like that. The first time I saw the Clarks was at a DV charity jam, Syria Mosque.
Oh, wow.
Like right when they were like 88, 89, their first album was out. And I had heard of them because they, you talk about them, but I remember seeing them for the first time in here. They might have played, My Way Back Home, or that was my first exposure to them. And that's probably the band. If you want to count all the bands I've seen, I've probably seen the Clarks more than any other band.
And then right on. Yeah, they're doing quite well too, even now. So their longevity is incredible, and hats off to those guys. Same with Krashecki and all the Pittsburgh bands that are still doing it. You got to tip your hat to those guys.
When I worked, I mentioned earlier talking. I worked at Cornerstone TV.
Yeah,
and we had a show called Light Music. It was contemporary Christian music videos. And when I got there in like '89, when I was an intern, and then I worked there. And a lot of times B. Taylor would come in.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And he'd either do some songs, or he'd bring in, Donnie Iris, Pete Hewitt. And it was just, I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are like, they're here.
Yeah.
It was so cool, doing that music.
So now getting into your career aspect, once you got older, you interned there.
Yeah.
And then what was your next, tell me a little about how you got to where you are now and weekends at DVE.
I wanted to get into radio because when I was in high school, I wanted to go into music, but my dad was like, well, you got to get a job. I'm like, huh. What's the next, so what's the next thing? I'm like, well, I'll try to be a DJ.
Yeah.
And I went to school for journalism. I graduated at Point Park, and I tried to get an internship at DVE, but they just had like sales or PR stuff. And I'm like, I want production. I'll get my hands on the microphone and editing. Anyway, I worked at Cornerstone for years. And then in that time, in 2003, I got an overnight position at WYEP.
Wow. Yeah.
91.3. So that was like, it's a volunteer. And that was awesome because I could pick my own music every week. I did like a 12 to 4 every week. And it was like the top of my week for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd look forward to it every week. And then just getting the calls overnight was so cool. It's awesome listening to the people that are up working or studying or driving. They're like, hey, can you play this? And I had the freedom there to play, so I can go to the shelf and pull that out and slap it on or put on, play echoes. That's when someone would go, oh, I haven't heard this man in years. And, that's how I built up my radio chops. I worked on worked on a commercial demo, things like that. And then through going to concerts, I talked to, I'd see Val Porter and the DV people at the show, and I just introduced myself, say, hi, how's it going? Listen to you. And one time I ran into Val again, and she goes, oh, you still, looking for commercial work? And she said, send me your demo. And I did, and she says, oh, it sounds pretty good. And, nothing ever came for that. Then about 2 years ago now, she sent me an email saying, you still looking for work? I said, yeah. Send me your demo. She didn't say what it was for. I said, that's cool. A month went by, nothing. And then I get a call from John, the production director. Said, hey, Frank, we heard your demo from Val. Would you like to come in for an interview? And, I'm on the phone going, oh, yeah, John, nice. Yeah, that'd be good. Inside my head, I'm going, yeah, this is awesome. And I went in, had the interview with him, and I was really relaxed because I'm thinking, I don't know if they're going to hire me or not. I'll just tell them what I have, and if they like my voice, then cool.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Yeah, and I had known some people inside the building already. I was casual friends with Bill Cameron. I had met Sean a bunch of times. He knew me to say hi.
Right.
I knew Mark Madden from deck hockey from years ago.
Yeah.
So when he saw me, he's like, hey, Frank. And he's like, I was like, how do you know him? He's like, oh, deck hockey. So I waited. I thought, I didn't hear anything again for like another month. And I thought, oh, well, I wasn't like broken up about it. But then I get a call saying, hey, we'd like to offer you the job. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got in the door, and it's pretty awesome. And that's the first week I was about to start is when Sean McDowell had to get heart surgery.
Right, I remember that, yeah.
It put me in come over,
yeah.
But they had Scott Paulson come and fill in him for those 2 weeks.
Right.
Which I was like, I got to sit here and watch him do, do it for a little bit. And he was awesome too. He was, he said, "Hey man, if you mess up, you mess up." And he just told me the basics of it. So just relax, be yourself. And from then on, I took it. I've gotten better and better. There's times I'm like, oh, I got stop talking, hit the button. I mean, you start going like, why am I can't stop talking? DVE, boom, and you hit the button.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I've learned to condense what I need to say.
Yeah.
And at the same time, gotten more relaxed and just just being myself. And I learned from listening. I mean, my favorite DJs were Jack Malloy, who did the overnights, and he did Sunday morning oldies. Sean McDowell.
Right, of course. Yeah.
Herschel, like the guys that I grew up listening to, even, to a certain extent, you might not think the female voices, but Marcy and Michelle too. I mean, just their personality and how they connect with people. You learn from that. Just, okay, that was a good thing she said or he said. That connects you with, I'm not there just like, here's Zeppelin.
Yeah, you're able to tie in personal anecdotes or just to make it more personable, I guess. Yeah. So you study their techniques or just their personality.
Casey Kasem, I listen to him every week.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah, of course.
I just love what he does and what like Sean would do, giving you those little bits of information in between.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, that record, they were on a desert island when they made this.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Moving away from Pennsylvania, is I didn't get to listen to the station for a lot of years, but then as the internet progressed, so I'm sure your family or your friends, people that aren't in the tri-state area per se, are able to listen to you. It must be fun for your family and your people far away from you, make it feel they're closer to home,
Yeah, I have family in Portland, Oregon.
Uh-huh.
And I don't talk to them that much, but we exchange emails and things like that. And my cousin will tell me, oh, me and Ann were listening to you. It sounds really good. And a couple of my older relatives that wouldn't listen to DVE,
right?
It's just not their thing. And they'll say, hey, I heard you the other day. It sounds good. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of the internet, like years ago when I mentioned I was on YEP overnights, one of my friends would listen in. I had a friend who was doing work in Latvia.
Oh yeah.
And he said, oh, I tuned you in. It was middle afternoon. You're saying, oh, it's dark and nighttime, and it's like sounded weird because of that.
Yeah.
I think the internet has made it really cool and more fun to promote yourself and say, hey, if that's the audiences out there, why not try to grab it?
It's really cool because a lot of friends of mine that are out here out in the West Coast or anywhere that I will forward links or whatever, so they tune in. Hey, you're able to listen to or if something's happening, it just brings everybody close together and tight, staying in touch with what's going on back home.
Yeah, and just honestly, the people, some of the guys that call in the weekend, that say like, "Oh man, I've been listening to you for 60 years. I'm out here in Texas. I'm in Vegas. I'm in, I'm calling you from South Carolina." Or that wasn't what it was 20 years ago. But now, and they could take it's cool because you're taking Pittsburgh with you out there. Yeah. Maybe they've got it on at a party there and said, "Oh, what is that? That's Pittsburgh." Let's look at this. Yeah. It helps them tell about where they came from.
Where they're from, complete the story. Can you give anyone watching that'll be watching here that's from the area, what's kind of the rundown? What's been going on? I know that the Rex just shut its doors.
Yeah.
What's been going on? Have any others closed permanently or?
I haven't heard of anything else permanently. Venue-wise, it's closing. I know, small shows are still going on now, happy hours and acoustic nights and stuff like that. That's been able to open up a little bit more.
Okay. So things are starting to.
Yeah, the whole social distance thing, and I just went to see this local musician Matt Tishon the other day, and he plays keyboards and guitar and does covers and but stuff like that's opening up. I worked for a while at the Harp and Fiddle Irish Pub. And they're doing live music on the weekends and on occasional Wednesday nights and things like that. So, small things like that. But, they're doing the drive-in shows now. I don't know if
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Out the Dependable Drive-In up in Moon. The Clarks just did a show at the Brownsville Drive-In. So they're doing. I haven't been to one of those, so I haven't experienced how far away you are, what you have to do to you stay over there, or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the drive-in shows. Some have been, pretty popular, and a couple haven't sold.
And so then essentially the smaller venue, well, the bars, and it's like it's starting to slowly ramp up in a way. They're testing the waters.
Yeah, but as long as the bars are following, shut off at this time, which means, people just go, I guess I'll just start earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it definitely hasn't returned to full on. A lot of people were doing, especially at the beginning, people were doing the like Facebook Live shows,
right?
Things like that, and then they drop in the Venmo or PayPal to help out, or else like the Clarks were doing it for a while. Scott Blasey was doing it from his house. Someone gave him the moniker from the Blasement.
Oh yeah.
So he was doing that, and each week there'd be another link, like the Washington County Food Bank or something like that they'd encourage you to donate to, things like that.
Oh right. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I remember Joe Grishecki was doing something similar, and you could donate to the food bank and stuff. So that's very cool. I saw that Jurgles is having acoustic shows. Have you seen?
Yeah, I've seen ads for
like
it.
that.
I think I'm pretty sure we've run ads for different shows up there. I know they're having their bike night again. I don't know how much music is involved in that. That's every Tuesday.
Right.
At least for a couple more weeks, I guess.
Right.
Weather turns, but yeah, there hasn't been any. I can't think of any big shows where you're actually going to see someone on stage.
Right. So still kind of the caution is still there. So I don't. Yeah, like you said, it's the drive-ins is where the bands are actually full on stage performances.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a club in New Brighton called Woolly Bullies? Have you heard of that place at all? It's like an old juke joint kind of, and we used to play there a lot. What he's doing now is he's having some outdoor concerts. So, but he has these outdoor shows.
That's another thing that reminded me. There are some places that kind of, expanded their patio, that are having bands outside. Local stuff again.
Yeah.
But they've expanded their venue for, putting cover over and putting tables outside and things like that.
Oh, that's encouraging.
Oh yeah. I mean, it also tore into, like, I know musicians that, besides doing the shows, they'll do things like, they'll get hired for weddings and things like that. And all that's been cut out too.
Right.
That whole, just general entertainment for the night, for your house party, or again, weddings and things like that. Some of the things, that was their main source of, their big source of income, and that was just shut down.
Right. So what do you think? It's probably, well, it's hard to tell when, but hopefully by spring of 2021, maybe things will start cracking again, but who's to say, right? It's kind of...
Yeah, I'm not making any predictions. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah.
I have tickets for a show I was supposed to see John Waite this year in May, and that got moved to March out in Irwin it's called the Lamp Theater.
Oh, okay.
They've had a lot of nice shows there. It's a nice venue. They refurbished that. And I had another show for a ticket. I should have been leaving this week to go to actually for a show in Glasgow.
Oh, okay.
And I really like, and meeting up with my friends, but that all got pushed to next year too.
Next year. So now tell me, you were talking earlier, you went to see a band in England. What band was that?
The band called Texas. Yeah, I got into this band years ago called Texas.
Oh, wow, okay. I'll have to check them out. I never heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of, I wouldn't say Brit pop. I mean, they started out, I think, they didn't get big here. They didn't have good promotion. Plus, the band Texas, people probably assumed it's a country band.
Right.
And they based their name on the movie Paris, Texas, because they like Ry Cooder doing his guitar throughout the whole soundtrack.
Right.
They went with that. So that's the whole backstory of that band. But it's a band I really just got into. I mean, I got into them, got into their fan site, and I really they never came. They came here once. They toured with John Mellencamp. They did some in the late '80s, early '90s, and I figured, well, they're not coming here. I'm going to go over there. So
that's cool.
I did my first trip over there to see to see them, and that was pretty awesome. Made friends I've had for years now, and
Yeah. Wow. Where did you see them? Do you remember the venue you saw them?
yeah, I saw them. The first place I went to see them was in Cardiff, Wales. And then when I met the people I'd only known online, they said, "Oh, are you going to this show and that show?" And I realized they were like almost doing like a Deadhead thing. They were like going to every show. I'm like, "Well, okay." So I worked out a train and everything. I'm like, "Oh, I caught them at another venue." I'm like, "That's pretty smart. I should have seen them twice since I came this far."
Sure, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them twice on that tour, and it was my first time in England. I'm like, I have to go to Liverpool. Some people go to Lourdes and Fatima. I got to go to Liverpool.
All right. Heck yeah.
So that's the first time I saw them, and I've been over to see them a couple times, since then.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, right on. So they're still active, Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put out an album about 2 years ago now, and their first big album just had their 25th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
An album called Southside, but they were going to do. That's what this tour was about. Trying to think I haven't traveled over there specifically to see anybody else, but I lived over there for a short time, so I got to see, I saw Paul McCartney at a stadium over there.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Like Europe, who never comes over here, stuff like that.
Right.
Different things I just found. I'm like, I'm going to a Spandau Ballet.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Great
so
band.
that's someone you don't get to see. I'm like, I'm going to see if I could scalp a ticket. And,
Oh, that's cool. I never got to see those guys. They're still active too, right? Spandau Ballet, I think, kind of.
Yeah, they kind of had a reunion. Like this was like their 2010. They had a reunification tour,
right?
And they did a little bit after that, but they're not really active as much anymore.
Oh, okay.
They were kind of like on the periphery. I mean, they were like, Duran, Spandau Ballet, that whole scene.
Yeah, ABC.
Yeah. I'm at home listening to Journey and Kiss, and my friends got me into Metallica and things like that. I'm not going to say, "Yeah, hey guys, you want to listen to some Spandau Ballet?"
Yeah.
I listen to that by myself.
Yeah. Now it's funny about that. I can't remember which one specifically. It was either ABC, Spandau Ballet, one of the. But my buddy, this guy Dave Newton, was into Mighty Lemon Drops, and we started talking about those guys because he's from that area, and he was telling me, look into the bands that some of these guys were in. It'll blow your mind because they were like hardcore punkers,
Yeah, that's what I love about music, is finding out, what influenced. I'm like reading a book on the Rolling Stones now, and just hearing what turned them on. They're like, "Oh, I got to check that out." Or like I mentioned, I was a big Journey fan, so I'm like, Steve Perry would say, "Oh, I listen to Sam Cooke," which you can really hear in his voice, and other things like that. So I'm going to go out and buy Sam Cooke and Otis Redding. I want to find out what turned them on. That's an awesome thing about music.
Yeah, connecting the dots, right?
Yeah. And then you're discovering for the first time, and someone goes, "You ever heard that?" I'm like, "No."
I think it's pretty cool that you went over there specifically to England for the music, because I was just I always say the music and the people are for me at least, why I go anywhere. I can see the sights and that's cool and everything, but you made lifelong friends now.
Yeah.
All hovered around music and the bands you saw. So tip my hat to you for that, because I did the same thing, and it's life changing, So it's pretty cool. I really dig hearing you tell me about that.
Yeah.
And what now? So currently now, so you were saying during Steeler football, you're not on Sundays. Is that right?
Yeah. Because the pregame starts at 9.
Yeah.
It's a 1 o'clock game, and then the postgame goes.
Yeah.
Long enough after that.
It's a long Steeler football.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's right.
On this week though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They got a bye, or the other team got sick.
Yeah.
So then on Saturdays now, tell everybody your or when you're on.
Saturdays I'm on 7 to midnight every week, and something's different every Saturday. Usually it's like an 80s rock Saturday, a comedy cut Saturday, 90s rock. My favorite is when they have Electric Lunch Saturday, because that means I could take requests.
Yeah.
And I don't have to stick to the playlist. And get to talk to the people and put them on the air.
Yeah.
And play stuff that I don't get to hear all the time, or they don't get to hear all the time. I mean, I could pick like, that was from Joe, and just pick my phone.
Yeah.
But it's more fun. The calls you get are, some are priceless. Hey man, let's play this. Or lady called in, and I still kept the recording where she goes, "Hey, can you play this? We're drinking, and my husband, he's drunk, and my dad's in the wheelbarrow," and I'm like, "Oh, geez." And she goes, "Oh, that's all right, Sugar Britches. Can you play me some REO Speedwagon?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Sure, man. Yeah.
Calls like that or just make my night.
Yeah. Now, and also, do you do as far as like other voiceover type stuff, or do you have a website where people can
No,
check?
I don't have a specific website. I mean, I have
or your Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. I have a couple. Twitter's @GuyOvernight. I have some of my demos and things on SoundCloud.
Yeah, cool. Send me those links, and then I'll post those, and then
Okay.
or whatever whatever you feel like you'd like to send, and then
Okay.
I'd like to post all that stuff for you. And
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah.
And then I have my voice is on a couple commercials.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
One or two here there, and those are fun because you get to be, hey, you got to do this, or hey, if you just dial this number, it's lets me be an actor.
Yeah. Which ones are they, local or are they national ones? Commercials?
They're all pretty much regional companies.
Regional, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, I mean, you get one for, like, I did one for Coke Energy. I mean, or Bud Light Bar of the Week, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the product's national, but you're promoting it, regionally.
Regional audience, yeah.
Yeah.
Specific names and stuff you use or whatever. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
That's what's cool when someone says, like, "Did you do a garage door commercial?" Something like that.
Yeah.
You heard that.
That's always like in the 80s. I always loved the commercials in the 80s. I always look them up online. You'll see it, someone will post, KDKA would show it, commercials from the old days or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Now you're doing, as far as the commercials, you're ingrained now in the pop culture. Aside from being a DJ, the commercials, those things, it's cool, man. I'm looking forward to seeing those. Really dig that kind of stuff.
Yeah, listen, whenever I'm not talking or playing music, and that's, that's probably not. I've already been chastised for saying something about how long the commercial breaks are. So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Hey, Frank, I want to thank you, man, for hanging out on the Rock Talk with me today.
Thanks, Nick. This was pretty cool. I mean, it's always fun talking about yourself.
It's fun learning more about you, and as far as my hometown, the friends that are out west or anywhere that check out my video, and it's always fun. I'm glad I got to meet you through Twitter, and I enjoy reading your tweets, and when you're on the station, when you're on weekends, listening to you. Bring a little bit of home to the guys on the West Coast.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I dig the sound of your band too.
Thanks, man.
I could, I love playing that type of stuff. When I did overnights, it was kind of, I wasn't say it was all garage rock, power pop, but it was a big segment of what I play.
Oh, right on.
So I like you guys. I like your sound, and it's fun hearing you. Like, if it pops up in a different. That's why it's cool when you post that. Post your thank yous to other people for playing you. I totally get that. That's an awesome thing to do, to say thanks. Because some bands are just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But like that scene from That Thing You Do.
Yeah.
I always wanted that. I always wanted to be in a band for that. Like, the first time you hear your band on the radio, you're like, hey.
Yeah.
That's an awesome feeling. It is. Whether I'm hearing my voice or you're hearing your band on another, you might be driving somewhere and you could tell someone, that's my band, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. And I appreciate all the work that your business, everyone does to promote, to get the bands out to the people. And it's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, you've been since you're a little kid, you know, and you
Yeah.
pursued your goal, and you got your goal, and that's awesome. And I really I appreciate hearing your story. And thanks again for joining me. And we'll get the word out to all the other Pittsburghers out in the West Coast and all around the world to tune in on Saturday night, 7:00 Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
And if
during the
And if it's not Steelers Sunday, it's 3 to 8 on
Yeah.
Sunday.
and sometimes you fill in during the week if
Yeah, fill in for
Yeah.
Michelle. Haven't filled much in for Chad, but Russ 8 to midnight sometimes. But
yeah.
filling in for Michelle is pretty awesome too, because I mean she's a legend.
Oh sure, yeah.
You know, so the first time I did it, I was like, okay, like I got a big audience here. You know,
Yeah.
don't mess this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gotten good feedback from the people that call in. You know, I didn't get any of those. You're an idiot.
You know. What are you doing? Yeah.
She would play this. Why don't you? You know?
Yeah.
But everybody's been, you know, from the staff to the listeners.
Yeah.
Everybody's been so nice and just so accepting, and makes me have so much fun that they're listening, and I'm listening to what they got to say. And because I was a DVE listener for all these years as well.
Oh yeah.
I know what it's like to be out here and get your request played or not.
Yeah.
So when I can't stick something in the play, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I feel so bad because I know what I felt like. Like,
Sure.
never played my song. You know.
Yeah.
Don't ask for like a half an album side. You know.
Right. Oh, that's cool. Well, thanks again, Frank, and we'll tell everybody to tune in on that listens or watches my show 7:00 on Saturday nights. WDVE.
Yeah.
And what's the website? It's dve.com.
DVE.com.
Yeah.
And you can pick it up. So that'll connect you to iHeartRadio. And
Yeah, right. It goes to the iHeart, and I'll post all the information too for people to check it out. So
that's awesome. Thanks so much, Nick.
Cool.
This is cool.
Thanks again, Frank. I appreciate it, brother. Good chatting with you.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right.